Hi again everybody, TrekWorks here with you. Oh, I've got a nice cool day down here in South Texas, so I spent some time today working in the shop on our Defiant model, and I'll show you guys what I've been doing. If you guys remember on the last video update, I had quite a few gaps going on this after I glued the top and the bottom halves together. And so what I've been doing today is going in with my my putty. I'm using both the Squadron Products White and the 3M red putty to go in and fill in all these little seams, and I finally got the front half here glued together, and if you can see this, I've got the deflector dish assembly installed in there finally, so things are coming along pretty good. I've also got the rear bulkhead now attached and sanded down, and so just now going over it in a few spots, filling in these seams here and there, and things are working pretty good. Now on the front here, I discovered on this model what was causing a lot of the gap issue was that the little pegs, the guide pegs that are on the top side of the model that go into the little holes in the bottom, they just didn't want to bottom out very good. They didn't want to fit in there very good. So what I wound up doing is going back and cutting all those pegs off and then just gluing the model together straight, and that helped a whole lot on the gap issues. This model gets a bad rap for having a lot of gap problems, but it's really not that bad. It's definitely not any worse than some of the other kits I've seen. Your biggest area that I want to talk about here is where you had some gap issues, is where these bulkheads line up on the edge of this hull area here on both sides of the engines, on the top and the bottom. And as you know, when you put this kit together, these parts have to go in first. You can't install these after the top and the bottom are together. So you may wind up with a little bit of gap on here, and you're just going to have to go in and work that down. I've put some filler in there and on both sides, and just started sanding that down. I got a little bit more sanding to do on this side, but this side's worked down pretty good. And then these little round ports here at the back, which are the impulse engine ports, those had pretty good gap in those too, so I'm working that down as we see. And I lost a little bit of my paint detail along the edges here when I did my sanding, and I was expecting that. So what I'll be doing after I get all this sanded smooth is I'll be taping all this off on the top and the bottom and coming back and just doing my paint touch-up work on that, and that'll take care of that. It's not a big deal. One of the things that I always mention is that when I mix my own custom colors, so I always make sure that I add extra paint or leave extra paint left over, so I don't have to worry about coming back and matching that if I run out of it in the middle of the project. That's something you don't want to have happen, because if you're mixing custom colors, unless you write down your formula or however you're doing it, you can have a problem trying to come back and match that, and you'll have to respray everything. So anyway, things are looking pretty good. I've got the Bussard scoops painted up there and ready to go, and hopefully later today, after I'm done doing my touch-up, I'll be starting to apply these decals. Now this model is from 1996. So as you can see on this sheet, they've started to yellow a little bit, and I'm hoping that that won't be a problem. Normally when I cut out my decals, I cut them really, really close to the edges anyway, and there's not a lot of transparent areas in here. There's actually white that's behind these numbers and these little spacing that you see in between here, so I don't think that's going to be a big problem, and if so, I'll probably just discard that and order an aftermarket decal set from JT Graphics or somebody like that, but I'm thinking everything's going to be okay. What I'll do is I'll come back here in a little bit with a follow-up on this, and after I get a little bit more progress made, where I do some more sanding and some more filling here, and then start applying the paint again, and we'll come back and show you how it looks, and then we're going to start putting our decals on. I'll see you in just a little bit. Okay guys, we're back. We've got all of our seams filled in now, and we've got our paint touch-up back on this. You can see I've got all the stripes back on there that were sanded off, and all the panels that were lost when we did our sanding on the sides there, and things came out pretty nice. I'm really happy with it. I didn't get to the point where I was going to put the decals on it yet. It took a little longer than I thought, and I'll come back with another update on that tomorrow, and we'll start doing all the decal work on it. Let me plug it in here real quick. You guys can see I've got the Bussard scoops in there now, and we've got our lights there at the front and on the top, and we've got our deflector dish lit up, and we've got our side lighting there, and our lighting here at the back, and then our window lighting there. So that came out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with that. Let me come back here in just a second, and we'll shut the lights off, and we'll give you a look at this thing in the dark. It looks pretty nice. Okay guys, well here's a little shot of the model in low light, and you can see that our lighting's coming through really nice and clear on this. I haven't done the crystal clear in these forward window ports yet here, so and on the ones on the bottom, so they're a little bit bright and they're glaring just a little bit right now, but once I put that in there, that'll definitely tone that down. Everything's going to look nice and even. So just thought I'd give you a look around it here. You can see our little beacon lights on the side are lighting up really nice, and our beacon lights there at the back, the rear of our engine's coming through really nice. I'm really happy with that. And here at the front we've got the deflector, and I didn't put any LEDs directly behind that. I'm letting the light from the cabin lighting come through there and light that. I didn't want it to glare too much. Sometimes when you do scale models and you light them too bright, it just doesn't look in scale, and it just kind of takes away from the effect. But here we've got the lighting on the bottom side here, and again, some of these little window ports in the bottom, they haven't had the crystal clear in them either, so they're glaring just a little bit, and that'll all tone down. But they're in there and they're coming through really nice. Let me turn out the light here for you all the way, and you can see that we've got some nice lighting going on there. I'm really happy with this. Again, this model has been challenging in a number of ways, from the gaps that were in it to all the paintwork that needs to be done on these individual panels and things like that. So yeah, it's not the easiest of the Trek models to assemble, but a little bit of time and patience and working with those gaps and doing the best job you can pre-fitting it, that will help you out a whole bunch to make it a little less than it is. And the kit gets bashed a lot, like I mentioned before, but it's not that bad. It's I've definitely seen worse. And so overall, I think this is a pretty nice model kit. And I'm not too sure how accurate it is. I'm not really that big on the model, and there really isn't the shots you see on Deep Space Nine, since it's kind of an old print and they haven't gone to a high definition video of it yet. It's a little hard to make out some of the details on that, but overall I think it's a pretty good representation of the ship from the show. So I think it's a pretty good model kit. And I see on the Sci-Fi Model Action forums, a couple of you guys over there are going to be building these, so I hope you have a lot of fun with it. And like I said, just take your time and just work with those gaps a little bit, and it won't be too bad at all. Tomorrow I'll come back with an update. We'll be putting the decals on this, and I'll be doing the weathering, and then we're going to mount it on the stand. I'm just going to use a standard polar light stand and mount a little switch on that. Nothing really fancy on this one. And that'll wrap up this model, and we'll be ready to move on to the next project. So pretty pleased with how it came out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until I see you next time, everybody, happy modeling.